Hi there, Pride Plant Girl here. Well, the day has come. It's time to get all these amazing bulbs out of the little mini fridge and plant it in some soil so we can have some beautiful blooms in the spring. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to be starting with some hyacinth bulbs, and I have a mixture of colors here. Hyacinths are a nice large bulb. These are ones that I planted last year. So they're a nice large bulb, and you can see the bulbs are all starting to sprout a little bit. But we'll get them planted up and get them started. Hopefully we'll get some good roots going. Hyacinths are a bulb that you can plant just in a pretty glass bowl with a few pebbles in the bottom. Just set it on top of the pebbles, put some water just up to the base of the bulb, not covering the bulb, and they'll actually root and sprout and grow that way as well if you want for nice display. But we're going to put these in soil today, and then at the top of the pot I'm going to plant some Shinnedoxa, and these are a bulb I haven't never actually grown before, but I thought they're a nice bulb. They're supposed to be a lot of flowers, and the foliage kind of comes later, so won't be overpowering with the two kinds of bulbs in there. And these come up quite quickly, and the hyacinths should come up quite quickly too, so it should look nice. Another name for these is Glory of the Snow. So when you're just growing them in a pot to have indoors for a little while, you don't really need to worry about the planting depth and spacing the same as if you were putting them in the ground. So I just have some potting soil here, and it has a little bit of bone meal in it, and it's just slightly damp. You want to remember that with planting bulbs, you want to make sure that you have drainage. So this pot has a nice, good sized hole in it, and I don't even want that much soil. You just want just enough to cover the bottom of the pot. Just give the bulb a little bit of somewhere to go. So then all you're going to do is set them in, and I can see there's a mixture of colors of bulbs here, and I can see that. So you'll have to decide, how you want to put them. I'm going to mix my colors up. You can see the bulbs are different shades there. So I'm going to try and kind of mix mine around. And I'm just setting them in so they have some contact with the soil. You'll see I'm wearing gloves. Hyacinths tend to irritate skin on many people, so it's always a good idea when planting hyacinths to make sure that you have gloves on, just to help protect yourself. You don't need a rash from them. So it looks like I had about a dozen bulbs from last year, and then I have 5, I think, that I had bought new and fresh this year. So I think what I'll do is I'll take, I think these are white ones that I'm pulling out here, so since they don't all fit beside each other, I put them like this. We'll move them. You can see, like, I'm putting them very, very tight. I'm trying not to have them totally touch each other. This one's it's already starting to grow a baby off of it. So do that. And then I'm going to put a little bit more soil on top. Just to cover them up. Now be careful when you're doing this, especially if you have ones like I do that are starting to sprout already. You don't want to snap those sprouts off. So I've just covered them up, and then I'm going to set these ones on top. And then these ones will come up a little bit earlier than the others, and they should be all the same color, so I'll kind of put them in the middle. Oops. Another little layer of soil. So these are the Shinnedoxa bulbs. You see they're a lot smaller than the hyacinths, and that's why we're going to put them at the top. Even though we're not doing exact depths in that, you still need to think if it's a really tiny bulb, it doesn't want to be pushing up through a lot of soil, so you want to put them, lower down. I think what I'll actually do is just kind of scatter them around and flip them. So again, Usually with the bulb, quite often it's a pointy end on one side and a little bit of a flatter end. You can usually see some roots coming out, or not coming out, but like where they've been in the past. So that's the part you would put down, is where the roots were, and the pointy side up. If you're lucky, you'll get some like this with some little bulblets coming off the bottom, or this. There, so spread out pretty nicely. So I'm just going to layer on some more soil. And just pushing ever so slightly, just so there's not air pockets. But I don't want to, like, you remember there's little sprouts, I don't want to break those. So just very gentle. So I've left a little bit of a lip. You know, the soil line's a little bit lower than the lip of the top of the pot here, so that I can water them as they start to grow. So there, those ones are done. Move them out of the way. So the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to pot this pot up that I bought. Nice metal pot. It had a little plug. I don't know if you can see that. There's a drain hole there, right there. So like I said, that's very important to make sure you have some drainage. So I just have a little piece of coffee filter. I'm setting over top of that hole just to provide cover so that I don't lose my soil. And again, I'll just put a small layer of soil across the bottom. Okay, so for my next pot here, I'm going to be planting some daffodil bulbs and then some tulip bulbs on top. So the daffodils, I got these in a package, so I don't know how well you can see that, but these are a quail daffodil. They're a little bit more of a petite daffodil, and they're yellow trumpet and corona, so a smaller daffodil head, and just all pure yellow. And then the tulips are a flaming flag. So I actually have another package, so I have 30 tulips and 20 daffodils. We'll see how many we can fit in here. These are nice bulbs. So the daffodils I'm going to put in the bottom. They're a little bit larger than tulip bulbs. Usually they go in the bottom when you're doing something like this. I've seen people do them the other way. This is the way I always do them. It seems to work. But let's see, maybe I can get another kind in here. I was worried those wouldn't all fit, but they're all in there. So since I have the room, I'm going to throw a few of these Clear Day in there too. You can see they're a bit of a double. They're a larger daffodil, and I think they'll look nice. I'll maybe stick a few of those through the center of this pot. They're a larger bulb because they're a larger daffodil. So there, put 5 of those in. Okay, so just dump some more soil on top of here. So again, we just want to just nicely cover up most of those bulbs, and if the tops are sticking up a little bit, that's just fine. Okay, so now for the tulips. So I had 2 different brands, but the same type of tulip. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm just going to pile them in here. And you don't need to worry really about leaving room. The bulbs, the plants will grow and work their way around one another. So they'll find their way up. So So just space them so they're not touching one another. This one isn't looking that good. It just looks, it's probably okay, but we'll see. I'll put it to the side. We'll see if I have room to make sure it's a little bit apart. And we'll just cover these up. So when you're putting different types of bulbs together in the same pot, you want to look for bulbs that are supposed to flower about the same time in the season. Because if you have some that come up early and then you have all the foliage on them, and then it kind of gets in the way of ones that might come up later. Try and find bulbs that are gonna come up at the same time or close to the same time. It doesn't always work out, but it's a good rule of thumb. And I'm not using anything special for my soil. Like, it's just an all-purpose potting soil. You know, you don't want garden soil that's going to tend to get really hard and clumpy in your pots, but just a nice all-purpose potting soil. And like I said, I mixed in a little bit of bone meal as well. So there, that one's done. So I'm just going to keep working through these pots until I get them all done, and then I'll let you know what I'm going to do with them. Something I hadn't thought of until just now with this pot that I picked up, I just grabbed this at the dollar store, is, I don't know if you're seeing that, but there's this handle here which I thought would look really nice, but hard to fill it with soil. So I'm going to try fold up some paper bag that some of these were in. I'm not sure how well that's going to work, but hopefully it doesn't go moldy and rotten. But I could slide some styrofoam tray or something cut up there later if I need to, but I think this might look a little bit nicer from the sides doing this way. We'll see how it goes afterwards. Might have to rethink this. So that's about 200 bulbs there in those pots planted up. So I've just set the tags on top for now, just so I can label them so I remember what's in there. I'll make a note in a book there and make sure I know what's in there, so when I pull those bulbs out later I have an idea of what I'm pulling out. But I just wanted to go over a few little things about what I'm going to do with these now. So what I'll do with all of these pots is, like I had said before, they had a moist potting soil that went in them already. So I will just leave them like this open on top. Now, you could, if you live in a milder climate where it's going to be above freezing, or in a protected area where it might get just around freezing but probably won't freeze right through the pot. If you've slid your bulbs in a little bit, you could just set them outside for now and have them grow right in the spring. But I would like mine to come a little earlier than the bulbs around here. So I'm just going to take them for now, and I'm going to take them, put them in a cool area that's above freezing but indoors here, because it's, I think it was minus 30 Celsius this morning. And I think it got up to a whole balmy minus 25 by this afternoon. So definitely not going to be putting these outside, but I'll just put them in a cool area, probably my basement or my insulated garage, somewhere like that, and a dark area. Because what I want these bulbs to do right now is I don't want them to start shooting up any more top growth. As you'd seen, a lot of them already had some sprouts coming, so I don't want to encourage that to happen too quickly. I want to get these bulbs resting in their soil so they can start putting down some roots. So I will keep an eye on them and watch, and it'll be probably about 2 to 4 weeks I'll start noticing roots. I can check with these ones that I set in the decorative pots and just check the bottoms, and I might see roots forming along the bottom, out the holes at the bottom. I did put a coffee filter over the holes, but you can usually still kind of tell if there's some roots coming. Because these were starting to shoot a little bit, I might just notice shoots coming up before I see root development. But I'm hoping for 2 to 4 weeks of cool in these pots. Doesn't always work out. Depends how cool I can keep them and how dark I can keep them. But once they've had that time and they've developed some roots, I will pop them out into a nice sunny place so that the shoots can start coming up and developing. And then within a few more weeks to a month, I'll get some flowers coming along. Usually how it works, not a guaranteed timeline. They do what they want, but that's been my experience over most of the time. So that's what I'm going to be doing with them, and I'll try and keep you updated with them. My hope is that once it's starting to warm up outside, I can be able to put some of these out by my front door. It's a sheltered area, so even if it's a little bit cool out, I'll be able to set them outdoors during the day and then just pull them in the garage if it's going to get really cold at night, or even just cover them at night before the snow is melted and the ground is thawed and I have bulbs coming up outside. The one that I put the hyacinths in, I'll probably just keep in the house. It's a really nice pot, and I think it would make a nice arrangement in the house. But I always like when I can try and get a few bulbs going outside before Mother Nature's ready to do that for me. So that's my plan. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope maybe you learned a few things, or saw something different. Leave a comment in the area down below there if you want to leave me a message about how you do your bulbs, or ask a question, or whatever you want down there. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of my videos, then hit that subscribe button and keep coming back so you can see what I'm doing next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.